right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Sorry about the game over scene. We are back for round 2 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile PMCI Grand Finals, Day 2. Beans and I are just ecstatic about this action mayhem and looked at the live scores as they currently stand. After the entirety of yesterday and match 1 of today, we have our current overall standings. Titan Gaming now literally leading RedEyes guys by a very small margin of only 4 points. And then 9Z knocked down to the bronze position and 6 points behind the RedEyes guys. Only 1 point ahead of Dauntless, only 3 points ahead of SLR. It is going to be nipping at the heels from here on out.
100%. And something to take away from that, Titan Gaming just jumped 3 spots from 4th place to 1st in that one, and definitely coming out here to play in Day 2.
And already thrown out of the thrown right into the fire. What are analogies and words? And we see him up against INF with Chill swallowing an immense amount of damage. Minotaur, very little health to speak of.
Oh no. And that is it. PZ just got eliminated quickly on that, trying to cross that road.
And at this point, INF not complaining about an easy elim off the back of Minotaur. Fairly low on health, below half, and with multiple members of Titan on the first story, it is a tough position to be in. He is cornered, and he's gonna really need some assistance here as he takes that flash. That was all that was needed to blind him just long enough.
Perfectly timed from Doran, I believe, through that. And yes, they are chiseling away at Inferno Esports out here. Titan Gaming really claims some confidence after that first win. And let's see, who am I missing over here?
All right, let me get a little eye in the sky here just to get a lay of the land if we can. Yeah, so literally just a few feet separating these two teams, occupying 2 different houses. Jadon preparing for an inevitable push up with only this S686 in hand. Does he have the ACE?
You have to be confident to push with just the S68. Only 2 shots coming in. I love it though. Oh, Doran coming on the edge. I love it. He used the jump to didn't have to worry about going up the stairs. And nice, clever push there from Doran. And
just like that, INF down to a 2-piece. We have a 3v2 on our hands, a little bit of elim trading, and either way, for both teams, that is a tough pill to swallow this early in stage 1. Remember, every bit of manpower and support and scouting power that is taken from you this early on absolutely has got to equate to a shift in strategy moving forward. And meaning, if you're a team like INF, that all-out aggressive approach is not going to work so well with just a 2-piece. They're going to absolutely have to dial things back, be a little bit more reserved, maybe playing a little bit slower. Doran down! Inactive down!
Ooh, Chills had the nice angle there, shot right through the window, and it's a 1v1 now.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Wow, okay.
Well, Crow trying to fly south for the winner, maybe even get a revive on one of his fallen teammates, edging his way closer and closer to an active, but with an Uzi, no extended mag in hand, it would be a tough one if he is pushed. He's going to have to make every bullet count. As we can see, Chills pulling a side rotation up the wall.
Let's see how this is going to perform. Oh, Chills with the S686. Oh,
well,
wow.
The S686 may only say 2 words at a time, but those 2 words are goodbye.
Yes, absolutely. Nice squad wipe, INF, and they take down the top dogs coming into the match 2 here, and that's not what Titan Gaming wanted to see at all here to begin this match 2.
Not at all. That is a tough one any way you look at it.
Let's see what else we have going on here. We're gonna go look, and we also have. It's so funny. North Georgia pool has just been a normal thing here in these matches. I almost never see hot drops there in my other events, but
I'm so glad
almost every single aerial match we've seen, we've had teams battling it out here.
Yeah, it's almost like the teams have discussed. You know, we're bringing North George back. Okay, you know, it's been what, 5 years since anyone's really had a good hot drop contest station at North George. Yeah, for the sake of nostalgia, at the very least, and KR Esports playing the slow play here in North George, but probably going to be prioritizing a shift into the next zone. Understandably so. This is only match 2 with plenty of games ahead of us and plenty of action awaiting. They don't want to be offering themselves on any easy platter. And as you can see, Extreme Slayers actually driving up to the western or eastern portions of North George and sandwiching the likes of R7 in between themselves and KR.
This is going to be a good move for Extreme Slayers moving up here. Well, if they can get there, it looks like Frady's peeking, but may not be able to get there in time to get a good gatekeeping on Rusher 7-1. One thing I want to note, that Dauntless also landed out there in North Georgia. They got eliminated off the bat.
Did they really? That is
so
going to be
Dauntless
huge.
is done as well.
That's going to be huge for the entirety of the playing field here. But as we did just say, there is plenty more action awaiting. So little bit of wiggle room, not much at all to be honest, but a little bit of wiggle room afforded to the participants. And let's have a look-see at the map as it currently stands here. So as you can see, this shift is not favoring many of the participants. It is going to be a northwestern zone, and that is going to be even further limited by the abundance of water covering up so much of the surface area, Beans.
There towards Zarky, but we do have Rusher 7 not too far away.
Sorry about that game over screen, you guys. But yes, yeah, honestly, realistically, what does this mean? What does this map say to us, the viewers and spectators? It means that we might be due for a little bit more of an increase, a boost in the mid-game action, early to mid-game action. And even if that isn't the case, anyone who's seen me commentate knows my spiel, but it is true every single time, is that if we don't get that action in the early to mid game stage, it only is going to equate to a more action-packed and climactic end game. But from the looks of it, the participants don't really have an option. They are just so limited in terms of space, and only going to be more and more limited as that zone shrinks. And for a team like 9Z, sandwiched in between SLR, RedEyes, and Straight Out of Nepal, it's between a rock and a hard place and another factor. It's like a Bermuda Triangle of enemies.
Yes, that side in particular of the map looks like it's going to be very, very crazy here soon. I like to describe it as a powder keg in some of these situations. Teams are playing conservative and they're forced together. It just goes 0 to 100 real quickly, and I think we may be seeing something like that here soon, depending on how 9Z plays this.
And giving a little glimpse here at some context, you can see some other teams driving further away from 9Z on perched on the hilltop there. I don't think there's any shot of 9Z even getting earshot of those vehicles, and it seems like they're just going to be playing the marathon strategy here, letting these numbers dwindle down a little bit. And after that performance in round 1, I think it's an understandable reason why, having lost a lot of the traction that they were able to make for themselves yesterday, being, you know, notched down third place position, but still right at the heels, and they want that chicken dinner back. They want that gold medal around their neck.
Without question, they played like champions yesterday. At least the first 3 matches, lost a chance too. They were really good in that one. But yesterday, at the end of the day, those last 3 matches, they did fall off. They did let off of the pedal a little bit there, and I was surprised to see it, honestly.
Well, talking about being knocked off the hill there, King taken off the hill as well as we speak from Straight Out of Nepal, reducing the team down to a 3-piece of Wolf, WDN, and Frankie. Wolf going to be occupying the shelter area, but Frankie, the outlier of the team here, a good ways off from his teammates here, and finding himself, well, at a low ground disadvantage to numerous teams. one being RedEyes, and another being to his left, members of 9Z. We see Chaco and Simple, or pardon me, Chaco and Elite holding position there. It looks like they're actually going to be more prioritized with a rotation, and understandably, but Frankie, if he does fire from here, that location that he's clinging to for dear life could be his undoing.
You know what? It's funny because the rest of his team just got pushed by Nemesis, and now he's the solo keeping the team alive there.
Yep.
Straight on a Paul. Oh no, wait, did they still have one other? Let me check on that. I think that is Frankie as the solo, yes, and now Nemesis does have another team. It's 9Z hearing the shot. They're pushing up immediately on that.
All right.
9Z doing some good damage here.
And it's Sentinels getting an off angle and putting a hurting down on members of 9Z. This is steals for Nemesis or Sentinels.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the IS's angle here. I love that they are playing with a little more confidence here. They're coming up now. They're pushing that. Shit just went past Frankie over there.
And
it
the
looks like
RedEyes
they are
have
going to
showed
go
up.
engage. Oh, yes. RedEyes coming in from up top now, too. They wanted to play as well.
And
They
Blade
wanted to join the party.
almost taken down a peg or two, but with that overwatch and cover fire from his teammate Shifu with an 8x mini, he is able to cling to life.
Wow, this literally did just ramp up 0 to 100 like I was talking about. And the zone now is coming in towards all of these teams. It's going to force them away from there.
Getting eyes on Simple, he is going to go cling to this shack for dear life. Now, this is a strategy we see more often than not on Miramar, and more often than not, it ends up being their undoing, as literally you're fish in a barrel. One nade, no need to aim. As long as it hits inside the shack, Simple would be donezo. But that's with us knowing his location, and look how close Nemesis actually is to Simple.
Yeah. I mean, their Nemesis are definitely pinned down right now. They had 9Z. They've got Scream Zeus sitting up above throwing nades. And Fate and Berlin, guys, remember, this isn't shelter area. This is next to shooting range, so there is no escape for Nemesis down there. They are pinned down.
Yeah, they are the deli meat in a peanut butter and trouble sandwich. 9Z and Sentinels are the bread.
And Scream Zeus actually going to back off that. He decides not to waste his time on it. He knows that they can sit back. It's only third stage. So, Nemesis will get a second shot here. I thought they were going to be pinned down that whole time, but the blue actually worked in their favor a little bit here, in my opinion.
A second chance at life there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you do bring up a great point. You know, these zone shifts are all contextual. That blue zone is absolutely going to change up a shift in the strategy. You can only work with what you have given to you in this case. And if that blue zone is not in your favor towards the end game, it's going to be taken... well, pardon me, giving now too much damage to really be disregarded. Meaning, I don't care who you are, nobody has a higher KD than that blue zone. And Blinky of KR against numerous high ground holders in R7.
Let's see. That solo member down low. The rest of the team came running. Ecog pops out. Great shots there. Membe, the last two.
Yeah, unfortunately, Melaz a bit of a ways off here, so it really was all on Mando from that point. But in this case, I think, as you were saying, was the same case for Straight Out of Nepal. Now, what ended up being kind of their outlier, hey, maybe he should have been with the team, but regardless, it is their saving grace at this point as he can carry on the team today.
Melaz actually goes and full sends it on that. I'm very surprised to see that.
Yeah, that was a very risky strat, but hey, if it works, now he finds himself in a 1v3, but with a nade crashing on Vitos, it is not enough. Cog retaliating. Somehow, Melaz... oh, he must be having a boulder there. He does.
He does indeed. You're right. He's cooking it, gets hit through the window, and that was a tough push there. Could have backed off and tried to play for positioning.
I mean, and so close to that placement bracket. He could have just stayed alive for even 5 more minutes and enjoyed at least a couple placement points. Only 3 teams. But if anyone is unaware what we're talking about, as soon as we reach that 8 teams remaining stage of the game, every team from then on will receive some degree of placement points. And even if you have 0 prelims, placement points, as we've seen time and time again, can be the critical difference between winning the overall tournament and not. that could be the ticket to getting your PMSL slots. The difference maker is just that extra few seconds of staying alive. Those extra 2 placement points could be the critical difference maker between if you go to Super League or not.
To your point right there, what did we see? A 4-point difference here coming into the day. In fact, it was actually a 2-point difference between 9Z Globan and Dauntless. So yes, these points absolutely can matter in these lobbies with how evenly matched a lot of these teams are. Again, we haven't seen one team really separate themselves from the pack yet. Titan Gaming did take first place. They're the first one knocked off today, so these guys are all having a great time. Looks like Inferno Esports and Solo.
Yeah,
shots here.
The Sentinels,
the limb though.
Sentinels, you know, spreading out and using the numbers to their advantage, getting multiple lines of sight on the playing field, and having that bit of Overwatch ended up saving them. At least saving them from losing another member.
100%. They did end up losing one there, but I think they can live with that here. They got 6 limbs here so far, and definitely a night and day difference from them yesterday to today so far.
All right, looks like Lotus Esports working their way northbound, shifting into this new zone, but finding themselves contending with the Golden Eagles and with a takedown on Anders right there and then. It's Ked firing away at Drago, 3x into her hand, but getting some retaliatory shots as well as third-party shots from behind.
Oh, wow. Razor right now. We also have SLR across the river. I think you did point them out. They're just watching and waiting, looking for open shots. And that actually is the squad wipe. Lotus just got taken out there. Oh, I thought they had at least one more. No, they do not.
Well,
so that combo of Golden Eagles and SLR was devastating on Lotus.
And take note, ladies and gentlemen, just one tiny bridge separating the Eagles from SLR, 2 of our top contenders, but the zone certainly favoring SLR over the Eagles. The Eagles will not have a lot of choice. They're going to have to find a way across this river one way or another. And other shifting them the bridge on the western front, I don't see any other way of getting across other than facing off against the heavy hitters in SLR.
Right, and that zone is just, they could potentially take that west bridge right now, but the zone is closing in. It's going to make that more and more difficult, especially as we get closer to this 5th stage.
And look at the spread. Extreme Slayers is operating with a 2-1-1 split or a 3-1 split, but multiple angles of high ground, multiple lines of sight in Overwatch. This is Extreme Slayers getting ready to put on an in-game show. I can tell you that right now.
They're playing just like they did in Season 1 here. They were always the first team to make these good about it too. It wasn't get themselves out there with plenty of space, and we're seeing a good example of that right now. Whoever their IGL is on point, is definitely making some good calls here, in my opinion.
And as I say that, I do like Hayuya's firing from the low ground in this position, in the case that it actually distracts the high ground holders in the opposing high ground holders from the remainder of his team. Already we're seeing Golden Eagles perched in a nest behind the boulder, trying to stare across the way, get a line of sight on their opponent's kindness and woe of SLR, but they cannot forget the outlying threat to the west, Hayuya.
Yes, and Extreme Slayers, you absolutely do not want to miss them. They will make you pay for it if you do, and you can see Golden Eagles are very, very much pinned down, though they haven't lost any members here so far.
But the zone is going to close very soon, and as we were saying, that blue zone will start hurting more and more, as we know to be the case of PUBG Mobile, and it is only a matter of time before the Eagles will need to relocate and migrate north for the winter here. And it looks like Ked already trying to find his way across the river. The team trying to join him, but ran a shot from the vehicle. Jawoon soon to follow.
Oh man, and that's not what they wanted to see at all. Rana's down, although Jawoon does not get knocked off that.
He doesn't.
SLR, they saw they're moving up. Boschwan, is he going to fall back? I thought he was going to move up above them potentially, but
they don't know about Ked. They do not know about Ked's location.
You're right. This could work well for him. Let's see how he's going to play it. Rusher 7 in the area now. They are also there, but it looks like they're focused on Extreme Slayers. Extreme Slayers surprisingly backing off as a team. They're moving for that compound, and they are going to give up that hill.
You know, that is a bit of well, that grinds my gears a little bit, because that was such an awesome advantage. Now, unless the zone favored against them, which it did not, they just compromised their location and gave it to R7.
I'm very surprised to see that, but I guess they do like the hard cover here instead.
I mean,
that's the only thing I can think.
This is a debate that I raise to the audience almost every event. I think it's a contextually specific variable, but the high ground geographical cover versus low ground compound cover, which is the better move? I think it varies case by case, but in this particular situation, I do think that it would have favored Extreme Slayers to hold that geographical high ground over the low ground compound cover. They would have had an overwatch over the entirety of the no enemies to turn their back on. There was literally no one behind them but blue.
Points.
Yeah, and that's literally 90 to 180 degrees less of scouting. That could have been huge.
Very, very surprised to see it, honestly. There's still a full 4-man down there. Let's see. They're looking uphill towards them, but they definitely have given Rusher 7 a nice position to just look out on the rest of these teams. So we have RedEyes guys over there towards the west, and it looks like they are staring right over there towards Golden Eagles and SLR, who are also exchanging fire. Rana just took out White Elegy's vehicle, I believe, and look at that. These two are down here.
Not just his vehicle, him as well.
Yeah.
And the issue that really kind of strikes me there is that the Eagles had a real opportunity for a third party on it, but I got to commend them, exercising patience and discipline here. I don't know if it would have been as risky to try to third party that as they may think it was, but that's with us having scouting information and observers 2020 vision info that they may not have. Well, SLR picking at the Eagles even though they have multiple users.
I love it. Kindness has no fear whatsoever, still putting great shots out there, still hitting shots for sure.
All right, I'm going to get an eye over as much of the playing field as I possibly can here. Switching back and forth. We'll get it from behind SLR in just a moment. I'll keep your perspective up while we show it. It does bring to light just how crucial these utilities are at a late stage in-game.
Especially in Erangel.
Yes, thank you, man. Oh my goodness, it's like it's like yes, we're in sync, my friend. Never more so than on Miramar, but Erangel is very much a utility in-game dependent map, and even sometimes not quite enough. Sometimes you still need that extra vehicle for late stage dead vehicle cover.
Yeah, great point there. I mean, you can have all the utilities in the world. The hard cover really does make a big difference there compared to the smoke, but even more so on these wide open areas. Obviously, if you're in a city, then that changes things a little bit, but in these situations right here, where it is a kind of wide open field, very minimal amount of buildings, hard cover, those vehicles are absolutely clutch. They're so important. Oh, SLR, White Elegy was backing off again, and Ked has been lasering them. That's more than one time Ked has taken out White Elegy's vehicle, and White Elegy as well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, the Eagles now really trying to close those RedEyes, and Beast really swallowing a lot of damage there. Reduced down to 1/4 of the overall health. It's going to be on to Leon and Blade to provide the overwatch and cover fire while he tries to secure some sort of meds.
Yes, and
does
not in the best position here. Not a whole lot of tree cover. Their vehicles are taken out now. Rusher 7 from that spot we mentioned earlier. They are just relaxing, fighting up any of these teams that they do see out in the open.
Yeah, with Cog, a nice bit of overwatch over numerous members of the Eagles, trying to reorient his attention to RedEyes. It's just multiple people lining up for the picking, and Cog capitalizes with a beautiful knock on Dooku with that M4.
He saw them and was able to knock perfectly. that just as
And now, no time to waste as he reorients his attention to the RedEyes guys, putting a hurting on them as well, but could spell an opportunity for Extreme Slayers for a elim steal.
Yeah, it absolutely could. You know they're sitting there. They are looking around, trying to find out. We got 3 elims, too, so you know Extreme Slayers are probably a little bit hungry for some elims. They, I don't think they're going to be satisfied with just 3 in here.
Well, they shouldn't be satisfied with just 3. They certainly have not conquered the entirety of the playing field in day 1 to feel that comfortable with relying on placement alone. And I think this is also a team that we know is comfortable in confrontation. So while it is good to see the reservation, it means that they're taking the event seriously and they don't want to make any easy mistakes. That does not mean that you can be hesitant to handle your ones when you need to.
Yeah, great point there for sure. I mean, this is when it matters. This is crunch time. And these teams, you don't want to sit back and just watch and wait. You want to obviously take the opportunities you can. You don't want to put yourself out there too much too, but
got to find that balance.
I'm really surprised to see Extreme Slayers still staying low with how mobile they are.
With R7 really high ground from 3 different angles over him, they could honestly, Spooky's location could be their undoing. If he's able to get a line of sight through the window from that high up, it could still be within his line of sight to secure a thirst through that window. And getting out from Spooky's perspective here, and as I say it, the caster curse, and Blade has struck him. It's a stab, and now R7 reliant on Cog and Vito, but no time to waste. The Eagles never thrown out of the action.
They're hurting right now. They are still standing there, Rana and Ked. Oh, but Rana is getting looked at
the
now
caster
as
curse.
well.
And look at Ked. He is heel stratting on an Erangel match, no less. Ladies and gentlemen, we see the infamous heel strat most prevalently on Sandhawk, but hey, even with the shift towards emphasis on eliminations over placement and the more recent official pro circuit scoring structure, it does not mean that placement is not still holding such a huge weight. And as you can see, if Ked is still willing to heel strat and risk this blue zone damage, it clearly is with a purpose.
Yeah, he still has 4 first aid kits right now as well. If he can just survive a little longer, I think he can outlive RedEyes guys over here.
It makes plenty of sense. He's one solo at this point. He doesn't have any teammates, so realistically, the odds of him getting any more points on the board are either through third-party steals or just hanging on a little longer and letting these teams just annihilate each other, and every team at that point that is taken out is going to be an extra point or 2 in placement right there and then. That's the same thing. That's the exact same effect as getting 1 to 2 more elims right then and there. Why not lay low?
Exactly. You could at least try it. Worst comes to worst, maybe you're in the same position you were. So I definitely like that they at least tried it. It would have been an easy squad wipe if they had given up that position. They were just focused on by so many people. ECOG with the nice toss into Extreme Slayers building. Great throw there.
Well, now Spooky at the forefront, not wasting time, trying to capitalize as best as possible on this knock, and he is cooking up a nade aimed outwards at Hayuya and Robert. Little pre-fire, and for not enough to get the second knock, clean to life by a hair on the chin here. Oh my goodness, Hayuya's nade, 2 birds, 1 stone. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Beautiful nade, well placed there, hit both of them as they were trying to find some entrance.
And look at this.
That was a great predictive nade.
It's all down to DeLeon and a 1v3. There's 1 knock on Extreme Slayers. This is the best shot he's got here. The best his odds are going to be are, wow, at least one of them's down. And he's trying his best to capitalize, hoping upon hope for a blind nade to just connect, but it is not happening. Remix is back up and about. Hayuya, very well healed, and they retaliate with the Leon swallowing some explosion damage.
That is it. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, either way you look at it, it's gotta be game over. But Beans, what an absolute powerhouse performance there. Extreme Slayers really, really knowing how to silence me in my tracks there, putting up a very impressive late stage high elim game and a chicken dinner on the tip of their tongue finish. That is going to be 9 elims along with the 10 placement points, a 19-point game from one round alone.
Love to see it. Extreme Slayers were another team that I had a close eye on. They were Season 1 champions, and they absolutely are a great squad in terms of the coordination and just how good they are on their rotations. They showed a great example of it right there. We were so surprised to see them give up that hill, but that compound actually ended up working out really, really well for them. You saw they were able to easily defend it from Rusher 7 as they came up, and they absolutely proved me wrong on that. What I was saying earlier. So love to see that from them.
I still think you were right though. I think that this may have a little bit of a luck in terms of how these zones shifted from there, but I don't really think that there's any way to argue against you. You were 100% right that they compromised a position of high ground that they did have and gave it to R7. Essentially, as soon as they rotated down that cliff, R7 said, yeah, we'll take it. But, I mean, give them credit where credit is due. When these little spur-of-the-moment decisions are made, there's no time to reflect on what you could have done better and just, harken on the past. They said, you know what, we still want this dub, and we can still taste that chicken. And you know what? They did.
Absolutely, and really, really well played overall. Something I do want to note in that one, our second place team, RedEyes guys, they had none. They had no limbs across the board. KR Esports in third with only 1, so our leaderboard is going to be looking pretty similar. I mean, Extreme Slayers, I do see them.
I think did you say KR in third? That's not quite. It shows me R7.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was scrolled down. You're right. It was Rusher 7 and third. Sorry about that.
But you do bring up a great point. I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because with RedEyes putting up a big old onion in terms of elims, yeah, they get the 8 placement points. That's not anything to wag your finger at. 8 points is a relatively decent gain for one match in certain contexts. But when you put it next to a team like Rushers, who, well, they got third place, that's 6 points or 7 points in terms of placement, but they also have 11 elims to add to that. So let's say that is a 6 placement points to add on to it. That's going to be an 18-point takeaway for them, and that would literally be more points gained than double the points that RedEyes were able to put up, plus some.
Yes, 100%. And yeah, it's interesting to see RedEyes guys. I thought where they were going to end up with at least a few limbs there, but it looked like they were getting long-range damage, because I saw their name on the kill feed plenty, but they weren't able to confirm too many of those in the end. And while I'm sure they're going to have a lot of damage output, they are going to be a little heartbroken to see that 0 coming into this one, although they do get those second place placement points too, which should help them stay up in the conversation. They were in the top 3 starting out the day. I think they got knocked down. I think actually they stayed in the top 3 after our last live score point check-in, so they are still up there. They didn't quite do as well as they wanted to, but it's something here. It is something. I believe it's 8 points for second place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 8 placement points, and granted, that's better than nothing. But when teams like the Eagles or Rushers or SLR are starting to build up that momentum and really kind of separate themselves from the pack, these 0 elim finishes are not going to be enough to get that PMSL slot. At least I certainly don't expect it to be enough.
Yes, I agree. You have to do more than that. You cannot come out with the bare minimum here. And I mean, these other teams will absolutely pass you quickly if you are trying to just, well, maybe not trying, but if you are putting up performances like that, just getting those placement points overall.
And ladies and gentlemen, we still have 4 more matches ahead of us now. We've seen our participants on the first, or I guess the first and second map introduced to this game. We started off on that dry, arid, open desert of Miramar, worked our way into the first map of Erangel, but you know what? We're going to go right on back for a do-over, give a little bit more destruction in the desert when we come back for round 3 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational Season 3 Grand Finals Day 2. Stick around. We'll be back soon.
Once I woke up from a dream. still I wonder, could it be that what I want isn't really what I need? Close my
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's round 3 of the grand finals, the PMCI day 2, the last day. It all is set to end here. Who wants those 2 PMSL slots the most? We're about to find out. But beans. We have got something to look at here for sure. The scores as they currently stand, Extreme Slayers bumping themselves up to first place, 1 point ahead of Titan, who is 1 point ahead of Deadeyes, guys, who's only 6 points ahead of Nemesis.
Wow.
The 9Z knocked down to 5th and literally tied with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see just how much this has been shifting around, but we did expect it seeing how close things were yesterday. One thing to note right away is that only between 1st and 9th place, there's only a 15-point difference. So it's anybody's match here, really, in this top 10.
Absolutely. This could go to anybody. And for the sake of it, we are kicking back here in round 3 with Miramar yet again. So let's have a look-see at the flight path and where teams are actually going. Now, this is a pretty opportune path for the participants. I mean, it's by no means perfectly centralized, but it's going to leave a ton of compound choices for the participants to choose from. Now, that could lead to a bit of a, maybe a bit of a battle of patience for the first half, potentially, because if it is, you know, going to be happening, there's never a higher likelihood than on Miramar, just due to its sheer size. Miramar is an 8x8, but realistically, it's the largest map that we have in the game, because while Erangel is also an 8x8, that includes Erangel's bodies of water. So,
yeah,
you know, realistically, this is the most surface area to choose from.
Yeah, great point there for sure. Love to see this first zone that we're seeing. Oh, excuse me. No, I hate to see this first zone that we're seeing right now. Look how much of that is actually touching water here. It shifts so hard to the south. And wow, these teams are not going to love to see that. That's going to really motivate them to start getting vehicles and moving.
But if you're us, the viewer, the spectator, you are just kicking with excitement. This is what the edge of your seat was made for. And 9Z already going into the thick of it. Let's get eyes.
Oh, yes, 100%. I want to see what's happening there. We also have Titan Gaming on a hot drop, but 9Z, absolutely a team. I'm curious what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, I will pull up. Actually, we'll switch over to you here.
Got Simple and Elite here next to Ecog, Elites, and Spooky is up on the hill.
And it looks to me, if I'm not mistaken, like Nemesis could even have a southeast rotation into this altercation.
Oh yeah, they are actually moving close too. They're intertwined with some of the other 9Z members. We got Chaco pushing up to that compound right now.
Oh my goodness, she just drove right by without taking a single retaliatory bullet.
I'm very surprised on that. I thought it was going to go really poorly for Chaco. He quickly heard the footsteps and got out of there. Let's see.
Yeah, understandable. He's just trying to reunite with his teammates here, but his teammates swimming in a pool of R7 members.
Yeah, indeed. Chaco's moving back there to give his teammates some support. We're still missing Simple, I believe, is not with him. No.
Yes, he is. He is. I think.
Yep. It is Screamzoo, who's a little bit far away, but is near another of the Rusher 7's members. So that is a 3-man there in this compound just below the other Rusher 7 member. Kind of a 3v3 situation, surprisingly. And what's funny is we have the 3 here, 3v3 with Rusher 7 and 9Z, and then the other 2 1v1s are both Rusher 7 and 9Z in a different compound.
That's a great point. Yeah, it honestly seems like this little outlier of 9Z could be running in to the outlier off-angle holder and rushers. But getting eyes on Cog, thoroughly equipped with that UMP SKS combo, already with the armor and an 8X on the SKS. He is abnormally well looted for being just the beginning, I guess the ending stages.
Oh yeah, that's a good luck for sure. Yeah, getting the 8X off break, and we're looking at 2 teams that are trying to engage each other long range, so that could be a huge difference maker here in this early fight against 9Z.
Beans, you bring up a great point. You know, what makes Miramar? Well, the fact that it is sheer open land in so many areas. That means that you can be a very distance-intensive battle. A lot of snipers utilized here, and you're not just safe because you don't have an enemy within your vicinity. You got to be alert of not just your immediate surroundings, but your distant surroundings as well. And 9Z and R7 are two of our top-performing teams, and so this could be a critical difference maker in the outcome of the event.
Definitely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, 9Z, they started out yesterday with those 3 rounds in a row, and they've kind of come out a little slow here. So I do imagine that they are going to be getting it into gear here. You know, nothing better to motivate you than seeing what's going on. Then kind of struggling here, and we see Elite starting out with a nice set of shots there on Incog.
Yeah, and this is interesting. On the alt cam, or the alt cam, we have members of the Panthers and KR facing off as well. But as Choco pushing forward, he dishes out the damage, and somehow does not secure the finish right there. Oh my goodness! And he secures the thirst, no less.
And right after the third part, I love their timing and saw a lot of action. They won. They were quick to lead on this third party. Love to see that.
Well, I do think you're right. Yeah, I mean, if you remember correctly, Sentinels had a few 3-man matches yesterday, and boy, talking about using that lack of numbers and accounting, adjusting their strategy accordingly. And look at this, when they do have the full 4-piece, they are willing to bully.
Yeah, I love to see that they've woken up a little bit on their side. I think they are going to cause some issues here for some of these other teams going forward.
Gonna catch eyes.
Let's go see what's happening. We straight on a Paul and Titan game. I know they were both, but I know we had another thing going on with Panthers and KR Esports.
Yeah, we did, but we have that still continuing. If you want to grab one, I'll go grab the other.
All right, I'll stay here over in straight on a Paul and Titan gaming with their fight.
All right, I will bring up the Panthers on the alt screen, and we have both of them just like that. Oh my goodness, Illusion. Pardon me, looking at the wrong. Illusion of the Panthers is literally just holding position as multiple KR members creeping closer and closer, and it is gonna be go time. I gotta get it on the main screen for just a moment. And Illusion coming through with the clutch. Well, his teammate Asta has been knocked. Illusion trying to get some better resources here. Gyro reduced down to half health, but able to finish the job and secure the revive on his fallen teammate Asta. That does leave one member of KR close by, though. And with Mombay still holding that off-angle, high-ground Overwatch position, anything's possible.
KR Esports, they are heavily separated right now, that's for sure. You can see Blinky looking to maybe try to regroup over there with Membe, but also trying to get some loot, some good stuff here in the process in terms of heals and whatever else, and yeah, not trying to push over there towards that Panther squad.
Yeah, why would you? At this point, you know, we talked about it last match. When you lose basically the entirety of your lineup in stage 1 or 2, I mean, at that point, it has to be a shift in strategy and dialing things way back. But the Titans are up against the Goliath that is straight out of Nepal. And as you see,
yes,
Peasy,
this has been a good fight.
Peasy was such a phenomenal performer in the later half of the day yesterday when Titan really began to get their momentum. Peasy was one of their high elim leaders of it. You know, he really put out a performance. So got to hold them to pretty high expectations here in day 2 when all is riding on this.
Yeah, you are absolutely right about that. Love to see some of these members waking up. I know I've seen Inactive do some big things before in our past events. This is actually these are our season 2 champions. The roster has been shaken up a little bit, but I do believe Inactive was there last season as well. I think he was one of the overall frag leaders for them. So they've needed someone to really pop up. I expected Inactive to be the one who really started getting a lot of frags, but PZ is feeling here. Maybe had a few better opportunities.
INF facing off in the distance here. I'm going to pull it up on my camera. Chills trying to reunite with his team here. Bad Boy with a position of Overwatch. 4x M4 trying to get a line of sight on the opposition in SLR. It looks like they did get a knock on Koi. Koi, a fish out of water, but he's got a little potential shot at being saved here with Whoa doing the Overwatch and covering as best as possible. If he can get a utility to enshroud his fallen teammate in, it might be the cover he needs.
I love how INF is playing. This Bad Boy and Chill's holding on to that great angle. They got the 2-2 split going right now. Kunjdan looking for an angle behind, and you see Minato came up and did end up taking out Koi. SLR losing some members early on.
Yeah, SLR, for, you know, for what it's worth, it is a little bit surprising. One of the higher performing teams in the earlier stages coming through a bit reserved today, and, you know, a team that has shown not just comfortability in aggressive situations, but honestly, a talent and a bit of intimidation into it as well. I mean, they are very good in their element of CQC. So to see them dialing things this far back, I don't know how I feel about it. I think I feel okay. I think, you know, if anything, we could boil it down to not taking the playing field for granted. Not underestimating their opponents, but at the same time...
Respect for their opponents.
Yeah, but at the same time, with only 3 more matches after this, and so much riding on it, those elims cannot be disregarded. You can't be afraid to take some of these on.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely a great point. SLR kind of not playing how we're used to seeing them. They have, coming into the day, they were actually... Let's see, where were they? They were number 7 overall. Or actually, sorry, coming into the match, they were number 7 overall. So they're not out of it by any means. They are still 13 points back, but they really do need to get into gear, kind of start playing like the SLR we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think if your name is Super Lazy Reflex, you know, we can't act too surprised if it's a little lazy at times. But, you know, you only got a few more matches ahead, as we were saying, and how lazy can you afford to be with only 3 matches ahead to really acquire that PMSL slot? Well,
Absolutely.
it's SLR, so, you know.
Looking over at the Panthers,
Mombay.
they were just beautiful shots uphill on Mombay there. They got the knock.
That was actually, I think I don't know if that was on the main screen, but I was watching the perspective when it happened. That was an impressive shot. Very, very short peek through time. And now the Panthers just try to get into KR, but a third party from SLR, and he is swallowing the bullets and regretting that decision awfully quickly. SLR, as we were hyping them up and then kind of cautiously warning it, they lose Woe and are reduced down to half their lineup now.
Surprised to see it. They really must not have expected too many people over there, maybe just a solo or two, but Wo Xuan inadvertently pushed a full squad there. The timing just kind of worked against him, so SLR absolutely going to have to change their strategy now, being down to just 2 members, White Elegy and Kindness.
Now we've got Dauntless and Dark preparing for a square off in what would be a 4v2 altercation here if it does happen. We see Carrie on the alt cam utilizing the geographical cover where it's afforded to him or her, but the good thing for them in this particular case is that they don't, well, Carrie, while maybe he should be accounting for his backside, it just so happens that he may not have to, at least for the time being. And as I say that, I'm gonna say I withdraw my previous statement. He's got Amrit behind him. Even with Banger holding the off angle, I still think it could be dangerous.
It absolutely can be. So separated right now from the team, and the next closest member of Dauntless is down here in this building. Carrie is just kind of out here on an island, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, tough one here. The zone did just shift. Oh, but we
Panthers
do have action. I see that.
All right.
And Dauntless just finished off
SLR.
Lotus real fast, too, before I said it. So let's go see. Yes, it is SLR. Kindness is trying to get some revenge.
Talk about the reaction time. As soon as the Panthers put a bullet outwards, he just quick whips it, gets a little position behind the hilltop, and trying to retreat uphill to a position of cover and maybe even overwatch. But prioritizing that over healing, you know, that actually comes only with experience here, because had he remained back there, it would have been an almost certain finish. I mean, he couldn't have had many more shots, you know, at a quarter of his health. Not a lot more he could have afforded.
Great point for sure. We're going to see how SLR is going to play that now. We mentioned they had to change their strategy when they were down to 2. They're down to 1 now, so obviously it's going to be just kind of survive, chase those placement points. And SLR definitely underperforming here a little bit from what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you said it. You know, someone had to say it. It is underwhelming performance on their end from what we're used to. But hey, we're spoiled for choice sometimes.
Yes, we are, and they do kind of spoil us with some of the performances they put out. We have absolutely seen them go off in the early rounds. They were making it look easy against some of these other lobbies, but yeah, they're definitely going against better opponents here, or at least some solid teams here who came in very, very well prepared.
And Naomi taken down by the opposition in Nemesis. Calicar, this is a great time to talk about geographical high ground and one of its benefits. As you can see, Calicar able to revive Naomi without the single risk of attack until J7 rotates up the hill aggressively.
J7 had the presence of mind to get up here in this slightly higher angle, was able to see D2 perfectly there. Amrit is trying to flank on him. J7 actually transfers to Calicar there. He's feeling it right now.
And now, Amrit and Naomi, the final hope here for Dark Esports. Amrit able to secure the knock on J7 right then and there. A 2v2 on our hands, I believe. Oh, pardon me, a 3v2. 4v... Wait, what am I seeing here?
Well, they do still have two standing right now. Calicar down, and Naomi last one, and Naomi comes in and cleans up to get the squad wipe on Nemesis. Woo!
Beans, you know what? Why that is extra important is because Naomi was the first one knocked, and literally Calicar, using that high ground to their advantage, knew that there was no way without an insta push uphill from J7 that they would be in the risk of bullet fire. Best case scenario, the opposition could have thrown a lucky nade, but realistically, Naomi ended up being the difference maker in their team carrying forward here. So talk about the advantages of positioning. That position just saved the team.
It really did. That was really useful for them. They had a lot of small cover in those foothills there, and I love to see how Dark Esports is playing. One of our community teams, and they can't have impressed me more than they already have. Just the fact that they made it to grand finals here. They were pretty good in last season as well. They did come up short in the grand finals, but they are a team that's actually been looking pretty good here. We're looking at the scores. They're in 12th place right now, but we'll see. Maybe they're waking up now. Maybe they're going to start doing some big things.
And now we're seeing a little love triangle brewing here between the likes of Sentinels, the Panthers, Titan, and actually let's go ahead and scratch it and call it a little love diamond here, because behind them there is the final hope for KHR Esports, Blinky, the little outlying threat that could still very much be a problem for all the teams we just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Those solos can really, really throw a wrench into the plans if you do not, well, if you don't take them on the right way. You know, they have nothing to lose, so they could easily go and get a knock and thirst on one of these scouts that some of these teams do send out. I'll definitely have to close eye on Blinky. Oh, Moso catches inactive over on the edge. Pushes up towards this gas station.
Yeah, and Peasy says that's going to be easy. So now, Titan with 7 elims already on the board, 5 of the 7 still going to the half that's up and about. So this is a pretty big impact here, considering their performance last match. It's really starting to build a little bit of traction to it. And oh, Doran with a takedown on Moso.
Great shots from Doran, the jump shot.
One Panther remains. That's going to be Gyro making his final stand. S12 M4 combo in hand. And you're right, dude. We have been saying, you've been saying that like the S12 really has been a pretty prominent weapon in this event. Like I'm so used to seeing the DBS being the primary shotgun, but I feel like coincidence or not, you know, the S12 has definitely been the more prevalent of the two.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I love to see it, but I think teams are starting to like just the amount of shells you have. If it's full auto, DBS is nice. You can get that quick double pump, but when you're going against a lot of opponents, more than one, and you can bottleneck them, do that little 300 thing that you were mentioning,
oh, dude,
it can be so useful.
I've been calling it the 300 tactic for years, and you just said bottleneck, and I realized that is so much better of a way of I'm never going to say 300 again.
I love that though, too.
Oh
though,
my
man.
gosh.
It reminds me of back then, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. For Sparta!
When numbers amount for nothing. Well, Gyro, oh thank goodness there's only 100 people hearing that voice. Well, Gyro ain't gonna help you. The Panthers are back to the endangered list as the Titans strike down, acquiring their 9th elim here, carrying on with the same two who were able to bump themselves up from 5 to 9 right then and there.
We just saw Blinky try to creep over towards that Titan Gaming NA fight and get a knock on one of them. Actually did some decent damage on Doran, and now all of these members are taking huge damage from the blue. PZ Doran trying to heal up. Blinky just got thirsted by that Deadeyes guy.
Yeah, Blade, and just in the nick of time too, because he was honestly about to be eliminated to the blue zone in best case scenario. And so Blade, easy elim under his belt. That'll be his first elim, and ironically enough, Deadeye's first elim of the match. And after what we saw last match, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't feel very strongly, considering how they had literally still have 3 members up. It's a very slow hurdle for them. And while, yeah, it did pan out somewhat beneficially for them last match, they did make it all the way up to second place. And that's 8 points. That is 8 placement points. Can't argue with that. But without some elims, there's no way to contend against teams like 9Z and Titan.
Yeah, 100%. You really need to have those elims here. Deadeyes guys are playing pretty passive over the past few matches, at least the past 2. Definitely a surprising thing for me here coming into this day 2 of the finals. But we do see them kind of moving up here towards this Golden Eagles group, at least moving uphill, although I think it is going to be a slow move up. They're really not looking to engage any of these teams out here.
Yeah, Blade was ready to do some scouting, and I think realized just outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. But as you noted with that oof, Dark Esports sandwiched in between a rock and a hard place. The rock is Extreme Slayers, and the hard place is dun-dun-a-dun-dun-a-dun.
Inferno Esports.
Inferno Esports, thank you very much. I was trying to shift it over to... Nice. All right, well, D2 thanking his lucky stars for life. Naomi, a little bit of the same, taken down extremely low on health. And as I say that, D2 is sent back to the prone zone. And the caster
Robert
curse.
GG sitting up here above him, and yes, he heard it. There he is, and immediately leap on that. Extreme Slayers getting a few elims here early, kind of still bringing in that momentum that they picked up in that earlier round. And I like their position right now here for sure from the north side.
But, again, 1 elim to a full 4-piece of Extreme Slayers. It is certainly a little bit of a slower strategy than we are used to seeing from some of these teams.
Without question, yeah. Oh, we actually do have something on the south side right now.
I got
as
you
well.
on the main screen.
Gaming.
That was impressive.
Man.
I switched right in the nick of time. I heard it. And now it's on Doran alone, and he is done. The Titans have fallen.
They're going to play 6th overall in this one, and they do end up getting a few elims, though, in the process. 9 elims in the process, so that's not a terrible round. We'll see if it is going to be enough to get them back in that first place slot, though.
Interestingly enough, Hayuya and Brady of Extreme Slayers putting the work on Dark Esports from 2 different angles here. Dark Esports, as we noted, the deli meat in a peanut butter and trouble sandwich, and Extreme Slayers and INF are the bread. This could spell trouble if Kalikar and his teammate Naomi are not able to reunite with one another as a singular unit, at least provide that potential for a revive.
Yeah, 100%.
At the same time,
these 2 are not liking where they are right now. The whole time they have been in between a rock and a hard place, like you mentioned earlier, with Inferno and Extreme Slayers, and they're really just trying to survive here, just hunkering down and just trying to play this as offensive as possible. Neither one of these teams are going to be able to just push right up on that Dark Esports team without leaving themselves exposed to the other. So they might be able to stay put for a little bit, but you see Kalikar already taking damage, as is Naomi. Oh, man.
Yeah, and this actually should have, in their mind, probably been one of the situations where hanging out on the outskirts of the safe zone would have been more advantageous. And it is a great point, because Miramar is a bit of an anomaly, and it's so open that sometimes in later stage in zones, it can be a bit counterproductive for that early migration to get that new real estate, to get that best positioning, because as it is so open, it's open field for picking. You're a fish in a barrel, and hanging out when there's this much geographical high ground on the outskirts could be basically lining yourself up to get a lot of third-party elims.
Yeah, I agree, and we've seen a few teams kind of embrace that third-party approach. Golden Eagles is one I can think of. They were getting a few, well, they were actually getting third-party last round by Rusher 7, but in the past, at least in yesterday, they were looking to put themselves in those positions to get themselves above a fight that they hear and grab some easy elimination points.
Especially from them yesterday.
Oh, yes, great point.
Well, Frady putting the hurtin' on the final hope for Dark Esports Calicar. Calicar going to exemplify just how beneficial one of those vehicle covers in an in-game can be.
You gotta give Calicar big props. Staying alive here. It's been probably 8 different players just staring at him, sending as many shots and grenades and everything else at him.
He's listening.
And he's gonna finish him off.
Yeah, Frady. Well, it is a lovely story, and Frady is going to be able to, with that, get his second elim and the team's 4th. We see quite a interesting shift here. Look at this new zone. All teams on the outskirts of their zone. No team is taking the bait for that early rotation, except the Eagles, who have the reason for it. They have the high ground yet again. While you can see Chills in the distance with a bit of high ground of his own, the problem is that if the Eagles have the numbers in their favor, Chills won't be able to peek without being vulnerable. So that overwatch and protection for his team is basically rendered useless.
Yeah, 100% there. And INF, I mean, they do have a decent spot there, but their split right now isn't doing them too many favors, in my opinion. Minato's down here in this compound, not holding on the high ground. And if one of these guys does go down, they're going to be having to scramble to get that res off, to get their teammate picked back up. Bad Boy did just take some damage, but got healed up.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know, give credit to Chills. You know, he's doing his best with the Overwatch position. He wants to get that line of sight, that scouting info for his team. But as we were just mentioning, it does leave that vulnerable peak. He is able to keep the pressure on the Eagles, firing shots that he knew were not going to connect. But it kept that pressure factor, prevented potentially a few of the peaks from the Eagles, and may have bought INF the time that they needed.
Yeah, I think you're right. That has opened it up. These two are focused on each other now. And, Deadeyes guys also taking shots at INF.
Yeah, well, if there was ever a time for a third party, the Deadeyes know that, hey, we need to get some elims at some point. Here we have Leon facing off against the Eagles, but at a low ground disadvantage, and Jawoon getting the off angle.
Yes, Jawoon sees Leon start getting a nade there, and it looked like it was going to be perfect, but it just sailed. Dooku is down from Golden Eagle, so it's a nice 3v3 fight. Let's see if these nades are going to be effective. Ked trying to cook some to get him right over top of him. And good nade there, did some damage. Follows up there. Nice shots from Ked to take down Leon.
And DeLeon is down. Blade is the final hope for the team. And boy, we're talking about a Shack potentially being a team's undoing. I wonder if we're going to see that. Blade taken down to half health right then and there. And look, Bad Boy aggressively pushing forward. He does have Minato providing a little bit of overwatch and cover for him. But that nade, fish in a barrel, baby. Boom! No, he misses.
Just missed it. He's going to try again.
You don't
Let's see if this
succeed.
one hits.
Try again. And miss again.
And it's the window.
Yeah.
The window is being blocked, I think, is
Yeah,
what
he
it
can't
was. So he was
see.
just trying to blind throw that. If that had hit, I'd have been pretty impressed.
Well, with the Eagles still holding that high ground, it could still spell trouble, not just for Blade, but for Minato and his other outlying teammate.
Golden Eagles were down to 1 member left standing, and they got all of their reses off.
And you know why?
That is
It's
pretty
because
good.
of that high ground advantage. Once they had that, nope, I'm correct, yeah. So Dooku and Jawoon, as soon as they'd be knocked from a member of Extreme Slayers, especially in terms of Frady and Remix, they're out of the line of sight, and that could have bought them just enough time to get that revive. But look at this. It's a trade of utilities. Robert GG throwing him out, getting him back, thrown in retaliation, and taken down to just above half health. We got ourselves 11 people left across 3 teams.
Dooku with some great shots. I think he was able to catch Robert by taking shots underneath of that that trailer thing, whatever that thing is called, tractor. That's what it's called. And nice angle there for sure. They're going to try and follow up with a molly. Not able to hit though. Yuya should be able to get Robert picked up, and yes, he does.
Yeah, and that I think that we can't really denounce the Eagles or INF for not capitalizing on it at this stage. That wouldn't have been a very smart move to push out when you don't know where the members of the third team are.
Definitely. These other teams are just begging for an open third-party opportunity right now, and you can see these three teams all kind of have their back against the wall. They're not trying to give up any free angles from the left or right. Brady getting a nice angle on Chills there. Hits a little bit of damage, but not enough to get a knock.
And we are about to get an in-game like you have not seen today, ladies and gentlemen. Open field, only building cover goes to Chills and Frady at this point. All-out bloodbath warfare awaiting us.
Yeah, this is not my ideal last circle. Anyways, I usually do better in the city areas, but there are a few nice little hills down there in the middle that I think are going to benefit Extreme Slayers a lot here. And we actually have Rana and them pushing up towards this compound where we have an Extreme Slayers member, Frady, laying down already.
Boy, but Frady, the fish in a barrel in this case, nades being thrown in with just basically blocking the explosion in his path here, taking him down to below half health. He's got to heal up, but now Remix pushing towards INF.
Oh, I love the confidence that Remix is pushing with. He does go down, but he was able to get one knock from INF. Crash that now. That's not enough. And let's see. Going and pushing that, and Frady going down. Situation. Actually, it's a 4v2 situation.
Yeah.
Golden Eagles in control.
Well, yeah, the Eagles have the numbers in their favor. Ayuya and Robert GG trying to work as best as possible as a two-piece. They got a little bit of a spread between them, which I think is necessary to win as a two-piece. At this point, you're going to need multiple lines of sight, but it's still all odds stacked against Robert GG. Making a little bit of hellfire. Jawoon down! Oh, so close, but look,
wow.
The Eagles landing in first place and dropping that golden egg. Congratulations. That was impressive. Impressive.
That was definitely.
Jawoon, Rana,
absolutely.
Ked, and Dooku able to take home a chicken dinner on the tip of their tongue finish. Only 5 elims, though, to add to the equation. But when you have 10 placement points good to go on top of that, that's a 15-point takeaway.
Yeah, great performance from them. That high ground that they established early on worked in their favor. The zone obviously gave them a little bit of help there moving towards them, but just the fact that they kept a full 4-man squad, especially when they were down to just one member standing, that was the difference maker for them. They had the comeback, the strong comeback, and they took out Extreme Slayers not long after that.
You're so right, and you know, we saw it earlier. I believe at the beginning of the match with Dark Esports' Naomi, you know, being knocked, and then that revive on Naomi ended up being the only saving grace for Dark Esports. They were able to, basically, Naomi came through with the clutch and able to revive the fallen teammates because of that positioning in the beginning. And I think we're seeing it paying off. You know, positioning can be such a crucial difference maker between life and death, between a chicken dinner or a second and third place. And, you know, never more so than when you are undermanned. I mean, never more so. And give credit to where credit is due. Both Extreme Slayers and the Eagles playing phenomenally under pressure there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Extreme Slayers was dealing with a lot themselves with INF on the other side. All of those teams really had good angles on each other, and that last zone did kind of work in each of their favors. There was a lot of angles that were obscured by those foothills. It made the nades that much bigger of a deal. If you were able to hit a nade there in one of those long tosses into one of those buildings, we saw some good ones there for sure.
Well, I mean, it has been a performance show, to say the least. But ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, we still have plenty more action awaiting us ahead. That is literally just the halfway point. Only 3 matches remain to decide who is going to get the PMLCell slots that we're giving away here. Who wants that $1,000 in the prize pool the most? Well, you're going to have to stick around, because we'll be back at you in just a few short moments with round 4 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile PMCI Grand Finals Day 2. Stick around. We'll be back soon.